Hey everybody, it's me. I'm back with another pottery repair. Um, this is one of the ones that I'm doing kind of as a lead up, kind of getting back in the swing of things with doing this. Hadn't done it in a while. This is just a little ceramic pot, and it's got a couple of pieces that are broke off of it and a couple of pieces that are missing. So today, what I thought I would do is kind of show you how I do the glue up on these. So the first thing to note is the inside still looks a little dirty, but the outside's been cleaned. It's been wiped down. All these surfaces have been cleaned. These surfaces are as clean as we can get them. These have all been washed and wiped down as well. And then what I'm going to be using today is PC Clear PC7. This has about 30 minutes to an hour if you read it on here, but this is a really good epoxy to use for this kind of stuff because it dries clear and stays relatively clear. When you're doing these kind of repairs, you really want to use an epoxy. Hextol, which is an epoxy, it's a specific kind of epoxy. To do this, you really don't want to use super glue. Super glue is going to yellow over time. It's going to look horrible. It'll look good short term, but it's going to look horrible long term. And then if you paint over it, then it's going to cause some problems with the paint as well, because the paint will start to discolor very shortly after it's dried. So I'm sitting outside today. Hopefully there's enough light and you can see what's going on, and we'll go from there. One of the things I do want to say is I'm kind of getting all these pieces here together. Is somebody sent me a message and asked me if they could send me some pottery and or porcelain. Believe it or not, the process for porcelain is almost identical, and have me redo it or fix it for them, to which I replied yes. I'd be glad to do it, but please realize that this isn't a very cheap process. You can do it yourself, but if you want me to do it, and I promise you it's going to look exactly the way it did before it broke, I don't mind doing it, okay? Or if you want a museum restoration or whatever. But it can get a little bit expensive, just depending on how bad it is. So it's going to depend on the extent of the damage and how much rebuild has to be redone in it. And it all just comes down to time. Just comes down to how much time is this going to take. But if you've got something, let me know. If it's a little $2 jug like this, it's probably not going to be worth it. But if it's something with your grandmother's or great-grandmother's, or a piece of porcelain you got while you were in Japan or something like that, we can talk. We'll work it out. So anyway, what I've done is I've put the two pieces back in to kind of do a trial fit. Now, normally I would tape these in and hold them in, but there's just two, and I can hold them in with my finger. And the reason why I do that is sometimes they have to go back together in a specific order. Because of the way the things break, you have to sometimes you got to put sub-assemblies together first and then put them in place. I've got some tape. You can't see it. It's out of the frame. But basically it's just masking tape, painter's tape actually, and I've just cut it slits so that it's in pieces, so that once I get those back on, I can hold them in place so that they don't do that. So anyway, let me dump those out, and then we'll get started with what we're going to do. So this is a two-part epoxy. I'm not a huge fan of I am and I'm not. I love the fact that when they come in this dual pouch like this, that you're going to get exactly equal parts of part A and part B. That is wonderful and fantastic. The bad part is let's say I only use half of this and put the cap back on. My experience has been sometimes the cap gets stuck, you can't get it off, and you lose half a tube. Not always, but sometimes. So to get this off, I'm going to twist it and pull it off. Just like that. With this, you don't have to worry. You're going to get equal parts A and B, and that is way, way too much. But that's what we're going to use. I put the cap back on. I got one of my spatulas. Now, you can use a toothpick. You can use a metal spatula or a pick like I've got here, Doesn't matter. Just you want to mix it up, and don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's turned that kind of a milky color. All right, and you just want to keep mixing, and you want to keep mixing until it gets back almost to a clear. All right, and I've got spatulas. Actually, this is a new one as well, but it'll pretty much be just doing this kind of stuff from now on. That's probably 4 or 5 times too much that I've got there than what I need. But oh well, I won't have to worry about running out. So now that I'm mixing it, if you see it kind of go back to a clear color, okay, when you've got it back to that clear color and you've mixed all this up, you're pretty much done. Okay, now it's not, but you just want to make sure you got it done. So now here's how we do this. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it on this surface, and I'm going to do this piece first. So, that's how I'm going to do it. But now here's the thing. I'm not going to put a whole lot on there. Okay? So I'm just going to just put just a little bit right down the middle. It does not take a lot of this. Okay? It does not take a lot at all. Boom. That's enough to do that whole first piece. All right. Now I just wiped it with my finger. I don't really suggest you guys do that. I've used this stuff for years, and the reason why I say it like that is because I used to do radio control airplanes, as a lot of you know, and I built with epoxy a lot, and me and epoxy go way back. But anyway, so now I got it on, and you can see a little bit has squeezed out, which is fine. We kind of want that. We want a little bit of squeeze out. That's good. Normally, what I would do at this point is take some alcohol on a Q-tip and kind of wipe right through there, just like that, because the alcohol will pull off that extra epoxy real well. Then there's a little bit of water on that paper towel. What I'm going to do is I am going to dry that as much as possible. Okay, look here, there, looking good. I hope all that's in frame. I apologize if it's not. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little piece of my blue painter's tape. I'm going to put it on there, put a little bit of tension on it, just kind of hold it in place. Yeah, see, it slipped a little bit. We'll get it. We'll get it. There we go. Put one on there. I got some that's cut into real tiny slivers. I'm going to put one up here. Here we go. I'm going to try to put one right here, pulling straight down. That's one of the thicker slivers. And if you put, move that, if you put some pressure on it and pull, it's got just enough springiness to it that it's going to hold pretty good. Because what we're trying to do is minimize that crack. We're going to go back in and fill in right through there, but we want it as little as possible so we don't have to fill in a ton. So now I got to put this other piece on over here. And if you remember from the test fitting, there was a chunk missing right here. There was a piece missing over here. So if I try to fill in, that's going to be a problem. So instead of filling in on the vase, what I'm going to do is put the adhesive on the piece. Okay, so we're going to put a little down here. Okay, some people will put it on both surfaces. What I have found, me personally, is I don't think it needs it. I just don't. It's just one of those things, okay? But hey, you do what works for you. All right. So I got it buttered up. That's at least what you call it when you're working with, if you ever met a brick mason, they'll call that buttering to pieces when they put the cement on the edges. So anyway, here we go. Gonna get this down in place best I can. Push it up against. That looks good. That looks good. See, this is where things get a little testy. This is where you wish you had 14 hands. So, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look. Okay, wipe some of that off. Wipe a little bit of that off. Wipe some of this off. Some of this squeeze out. I'm not really concerned at all about squeeze out on the inside, since really all I'm doing for this is a little decorative mug. The only thing that I really care about on it, and that my wife cares about on it, is the outside. So what you want to do is right here where this meets, you want to make sure that's flush. The rest of it I can work with. I can fill it in if I need to or whatever, but you want that edge flush. You want it sitting flush. You want it sitting flush here. Just everywhere you can, okay? Oh, that's looking good. All right. I didn't bring my bean bag out, so, you know, I don't have a bean bag to sit this down in. Okay. So I'm going to put this across here to hold this joint. All right, just like that. I'm going to put a piece right here to hold this one. And I'm going to go back and make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be. Those edges are right where they're supposed to be. All right, so that's where we're at. Okay, so there's the glue up. All right, so I need to let this set. I'm going to let it sit at least overnight. I got to clean off this too. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to let this sit at least overnight. Okay, get a little bit closer for you guys. I am so sorry if that's been out of frame. And then tomorrow I'll deal with doing the milliput fills here and here for these missing pieces. Okay. Then once we get all that done, we'll move to sanding and shaping the milliput, and then we will get to painting and cold glazing. So anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Talk to you guys later.